Enchanted books are one of the most important features of Minecraft, and someday I plan to cover this entire mountain range with a sprawling city and decorated redstone farms. But building without enchanted books has been torture. So today I'm building a colorful mountaintop manor to house over 24 villagers. And to tie it off, I'm also going to build a custom forest with cascading waterfalls surrounding the property. All done in virtual reality. But that's a lot of villagers. Why do I need so many? I learned a valuable lesson building a hillside base and a massive industrial district, adding up to over 260 stacks of resources without properly enchanted tools or shulker boxes. So I need as many enchanted books as I can get my hands on. And the first step before I construct any fancy estates is becoming fancy myself. To do that, I need shulker boxes, and this big flying goober is the first step to getting there. I have to take her out before I'm able to make it to those shiny end cities. Let's try that again.
What the hell? I'm gonna die again.
I thought this was gonna be easier. This is it.
Surprised you ain't dead. Okay, he perching again. There we go, it didn't matter.
That was harder than I would have liked, but we have a gateway. Let's get moving. I can already see my first end city. But they're not all fun and games. Besides the pink boxes that send you flying, you're not guaranteed an end ship, which is the only way of getting an elytra. And by the looks of it, through a mod I have called Distant Horizons, which lets me see hundreds of chunks with little effect to performance, this city doesn't even have one.
Oh my god, there is a ship. Oh my god, it just didn't load.
Why did that happen? Distant Horizons simplifies chunk data and textures to save your PC from rendering all those chunks. So sometimes structures become so simplified they disappear. But I'm not complaining. Not only do we get a bunch of shulker boxes and enchanted loot, but an elytra in our first end city. Now that I have an elytra, I just can't stop myself from looting more and more end cities. I think I got more tools than I'll need for a lifetime. But hey,
6 shulkers.
At least I got plenty of shulker boxes. Hopefully it'll be enough for the manor. It's time to begin. This manor needs a location. Manors are commonly known to be the main residence in a large estate, owning a lot of land. So a valley completely enclosed by mountains feels like the perfect spot for an estate owner trying to get away from the common folk, such as myself. This will be where I get all my enchanted books, so I want to fit as many villagers in this manor as I can. And then I'll be able to rest easy, not having to worry about getting efficiency, channeling, fortune, breaking through, silk touch, mending, efficiency, sharpness, depth, fire aspect. You get the idea. Now that we have somewhere to build the manor, let's get started. I have a pretty hard time choosing a color palette for my builds, so this series has a major focus on experimenting with block palettes and gradients, and this build is no exception. Just to get an idea of what blocks I might use, I'll make a copy of the world and jump into creative mode to play around with the colors. I want the walls to be subtle, but still stand out on their own, so I think I'll go for a nice brown cream gradient, using striped wood and sandstone. The problem is, after doing some quick math, I realized I'm going to need 12 stacks of each wall block. Meaning for the 2 sandstone variants alone, which take 4 sand per sandstone, I would need 96 stacks of sand. This better be enough. Instead of being smart and making a tree farm, I'm getting all my wood the old-fashioned way. And with the roof, I was going to go with something green or red to pull away from the blues and purples I've worked with in my past 2 builds. But bringing color theory into consideration, the color that would work best with these oranges and yellows in the walls would be blue or purple, again. But come on, it looks too good to change it. I've made up my mind, purple it is. Good thing this trick works in VR. However, purple alone doesn't have a lot of interesting color palettes. It's hard to naturally build towards a white or even a black gradient seamlessly, so to spice up the roof a bit, I mocked up a quick design for a purple-yellow block gradient using unusual blocks like pumpkins and honeycomb. I can't wait to see what this looks like when I build it in survival. I'm paying a visit to my local industrial district, Victory Industries, to get all the pumpkin and honeycomb blocks I need. Then I'll head up the mountain to start scoping out the site. Up to this point, I've been climbing over this mountain every time I wanted to get up to the villager estate. But that's stupid. So the next thing to do is carve a tunnel through this mountain, which will lead to the doorstep of the manor, and I'll fill the tunnel with support so it looks like it's meant to last. I'm also paving a path from my current home to the tunnel, so I can have easy access to the manor anytime I need enchanted books. And now that we don't have to hike over a mountain to get to the estate anymore, it's time to get building. I'll start by building an outline of the manor itself, which is separated into 3 wings, the first one being on the left, where I'm installing a villager breeder. Because I don't have any villagers right now, I thought that having a breeder running while I built the manor would be the perfect way to fill up the trading hall. Once a villager is ready to be put into the trading hall, all I do is press a button and it sends the villagers through what will be the second floor of the manor, into the center wing. which is where I'm building the hall itself. I have this neat idea where I'll transform this walkway where the villagers will use to find their workstations into an indoor balcony, going off of this tutorial by Logical Geek Boy. Because I had no idea what to do with the right wing, I decided to break up the uniformity of the build and make it come forward diagonally. It honestly adds a lot of depth to the build, and I almost want to do something similar to the left wing. Anyway, for the wall of the right wing, I alternated between windows and supports, but after I got to the other side, I wasn't sure what to do. This wing has a hallway and 3 fake rooms, so I wanted 3 big windows for each room. But it just feels off. I'm getting burnt out from this. Instead of forcing myself, I'm going to start building the left wing up, starting with a small tower. All of the blocky shapes are starting to look too uniform, so a tower helps break it up a bit. Then I'll build a flat base of a wall surrounding the rest of the manor, which I'll fill with windows later. After building a second, larger tower, we finally get a taste of what the roof palette looks like. Now it's time to bring that palette to the rest of the manor. Although the front of the right wing was fun to build, installing this roof on a diagonal line is torture. Nothing makes sense here. I think I got it to work, but I might be scarred for life. The rest of the roof is quite simple, thankfully, just repeating triangular shapes. And with snow covering the finished product,
I'm like peering through blinds of another galaxy.
Trippy. Focus. Next are the windows. I am very fond of building windows because they add so much depth to a build. For the first few windows on the left wing, I'll go with something a bit more unique, because the terrain is covering half of the walls on this side. But now that I'm clear of snow, I'm taking the design of the right wing wall and repeating it in this corner. It's going to be hidden and empty back here, so I'm not worried about adding too many details, but I'm still glad with the way it came out. And with the final wall, I'm changing the design from 3 big windows to the same design seen through the rest of the manor, but with a few extra windows above. It's not perfect, but I can feel the gears in my head grinding and steaming. With the main structure looking beautiful and complete, it came time to work on the interior. In the left wing, I started by covering up the villager raider and moving on to decorating the rest of the room. This is where I decided that the second floor of the manor wouldn't be accessible, and only there for looks. It adds a level of mystery to the build. What goes on behind closed doors? After I built in a quick lobby, I turned to the right wing. The diagonal hallway was honestly easier than I thought it would have been. Building on this slant for this long must have gotten me used to it. I love how grand this place looks already. Now I just need to finish the trading hall. I have to be very careful with how I decorate the balcony so that I don't have any villager escapees, but from experience, adding fake doors doesn't seem to bother the villagers' pathfinding. And now I just need lighting. I thought about doing chandeliers, but with how short the roof is, no design would fit while looking good. So I'm going with this stalactite looking design, where it seems like the stars are falling through. Watching the villagers cross the balcony really sells this place to me. What do you think? The manor is starting to feel cozy. I'm even thinking of naming it. Villager Villa? Mountaintop Manor? Maybe Enchanted Estates. I like that one. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Anyway, with the manor done and looking absolutely dashing, all that was left to do was terraform. With almost every build I've done, I've completely ignored the surrounding landscape, so my builds always fall flat. Today, that changes. Even though the estate is going to be hidden from sight, I want it to be covered in flora and nature. I'm outlining the trail with bush and a few well-kept trees, bringing that same idea to the backyard, except with our first taste of rocky terraforming. I didn't plan to do much back here, so I didn't go all out, but I made sure the area wasn't wasted. With lighting added, it feels like I'm walking up to something truly extraordinary. For the lawn, I'm doing an alternating pattern of grass and moss, because it makes it look like the lawn is mowed. So I'm taking every moss block I possibly can from this lush cave. I might need to make a farm for this soon, or I'll be out of my source of moss in no time. I also farmed the heck out of some azalea trees to get the leaves I need for the tropical trees. The valley is split in two, one side being cold and snowy, and the other being rocky and desolate, so I want each side to have a dedicated biome. Although the rocky side seems to be in a dry climate, I'm going to approach it with a more tropical theme. I'm building a sewer entrance for water to flow into the manor and provide an artificial water source. This stream leads directly to the first pond, and is fed by a waterfall that leads to a greater pond up the cliffs. For the cliffs, I'm using a basic palette of cobblestone, stone, and andesite, but I'm going to add some oxidized copper to add some life to the dead stony bits of the cliffs too. But I like the way it snuggles the manor into the valley. But I ran out of moss and grass not even a quarter of the way through this segment and was forced to decimate yet another lush cave. RIP. From here, I don't have plans for any more cliffs or waterfalls, so I'll finish the area off with a winding cliff. We're finally forced to start foresting. This is scary for me because I've rarely done custom trees, but I think I'm off to a great start. I avoid clumps of leaves by building in an almost checkered pattern, but to make it more naturally, I occasionally break this rule. After adding almost a dozen more trees to the front yard, it started snowing. It's the middle of summer and I feel like I'm in a winter wonderland. One side down, one left to go. I don't think I have enough leaves to build as many trees on this side, but I have more plans for this area. I love the trees, but the grass looks bare. Okay, it seems laying down some leaves against the cliffs and by the water adds so much life to breathe in. Let me do that for the rest. We're coming up on the finish line, and although it's not massive, this is probably one of my biggest terraforming projects I've ever done. And that's saying a lot. I wonder if someday I'll look back on this and become upset at how bad this looks to my future self. Just doing some lighting, and we're done. Even though you can't see a thing from outside the valley, I love how this place turned out. And we got the 27 plant enchanted books we need, plus 2 more thanks to leveling up a couple of villagers.
I feel so powerful now. I could build anything.
What do you think I should build with these powers? My name is Goober. Until next time.